Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel Legal Decipher. In the previous video we had discussed about how much of a statement is to be proved under chapter 2 of the Indian Evidence Act. If you have not seen that video, you can go and check it. The link is in the description below. In this video we will continue with the chapter 2 of the Indian Evidence Act and understand the opinion of third persons when relevant. So if you are new here, please like and subscribe to my channel to get the video notifications. So let's get started. So in this video we will discuss about opinions of third persons when relevant. So this part of chapter 2 discusses about those opinions that are of third persons who have nothing to do with any proceedings or trial, but they become relevant in that particular trial or proceedings, and we will discuss here about those conditions when such opinions of such third persons will become relevant in respect to a suit or a proceedings. So first understand what is an opinion. What a person thinks in respect to the existence or non-existence of a fact is called an opinion, and whatever is presented to the senses of a witness and of which he receives direct knowledge without any process of thinking and reasoning is not an opinion. So anything that comes into the senses of a person will not become an opinion unless and until it is thought and reasoned with. Now what is the relevancy of such opinion? As a general rule, the opinion is not admissible. The reason for this is not far to seek. The witnesses are to place before the court the facts observed by them, and it is for the court to form its opinion. So, generally, the persons do not form opinions about a particular case because he is not an interested party and he has nothing to do with it. And it is not his job as well. It is the job of the court to form its opinion. The witnesses are there only to place the actual facts that are observed by them before the court. So their job is to bring to the court the raw material of the fact, and then it is the duty of the court to put and apply their minds and work upon it. So therefore the opinion or belief of third person is as a general rule irrelevant and therefore inadmissible. The witnesses are allowed to state facts and facts alone, what they themselves saw or heard. It is the duty of the judge to form his own conclusion or opinion on the facts stated. Therefore, the opinion of a witness that it appeared to him from the conduct of a mob that they had collected there for an unlawful purpose is not admissible to prove the object of the assembly. There are, however, cases in which the court is not in a position to form a correct opinion. Like, for example, the question whether a person has died of poisoning or not. Generally, a judge or a magistrate, by examining a dead body of that person, cannot form any correct opinion as to the cause of the death. Again, this is the question whether certain impressions are on that particular dead body. Generally, a court will not be able to form a correct opinion about the matter in issue. In such cases, help of an expert is required. An expert who has a particular set of knowledge about that particular event upon which the court is to form an opinion. Because to form an opinion in such matters, special study or training or experience is necessary that the court does not have. The court has special study or training or knowledge about the law only. But in other cases of science, arts, or etc., there are certain set of skills, trainings, or special studies involved. The court in those cases is not supposed to be a competent authority to understand. It is the duty of the expert to throw light upon them. In these cases, the rule is relaxed and expert evidence is admitted to enable a court to come to a proper decision. So we must understand that this relaxation is done to reach a proper decision that the court otherwise on its own could not. So in those instances where a dead body is poisoned or not is in question, thereupon a doctor will be required to give his opinion as to the cause of his death. And whereas there is a question upon any forged document, then a document expert will be consulted. Science, arts, trades, handwriting, finger impressions, and foreign law, These are examples of matters for understanding of which special study, special experience, etc. are necessary. So, in all those cases, expert opinions are based and relied upon. So, section 45 talks about opinions of experts. When the court has to form an opinion upon a point of foreign law or of science or arts, or as to identity of handwriting or finger impressions, the opinions upon that point of persons specially skilled in such foreign law, science or art, or in questions as to identity of handwriting or finger impressions are relevant facts. So whatever opinions those experts are giving to the court, that will be thought to be relevant facts, that will be considered as relevant facts under section 45, and such persons will be called experts. So by going through this section, we have already understood what an expert witness is. So expert witnesses give evidences upon their opinion. The expert supports his evidence by the experiments which has been performed by him in absence of the opposite party, and he gives the rules and reasons which supports his opinion. He may cite textbooks or accredited authority in support of his opinion and may refresh his memory by reference to them. And expert opinion is to assist the court and is merely of an advisory character. So in that way they are totally different from ocular witnesses. Now section 45A talks about opinion of examiner of electronic evidence. So when in a proceedings the court has to form an opinion on any matter relating to any information transmitted or stored in any computer resource or any other electronic or digital form, the opinion of the examiner of electronic evidence referred to in section 79A of the Information Technology Act 2000 is a relevant fact. According to section 79A of the IT Act of 2000, an examiner of electronic evidence will be called upon to a particular trial or proceedings by the court to form an opinion on any matter that is relating to any information that is transmitted or stored in any computer resource or other electronic or digital form. So that is what section 45A talks about. Section 46 says facts bearing upon opinions of experts. It says facts not otherwise relevant are relevant if they support or are inconsistent with the opinions of experts when such opinions are relevant. So if there is an expert opinion that is relevant, then the facts that are not otherwise relevant will become relevant if they support or if they are inconsistent with the opinion of the expert. Section 47 talks about opinion as to handwriting when relevant. So when the court has to form an opinion as to the person by whom any document was written or signed, the opinion of any person acquainted with the handwriting of the person by whom it is supposed to be written or signed, that it was or was not written or signed by that person, is a relevant fact. So say for example there is a particular suit or proceedings where the question is that whether a document was signed by a particular person or not, or whether such document was written by that particular person or not. So whoever is acquainted with the handwriting of that person, whoever knows that yes such person writes like this, he knows the handwriting of that person who has written or signed that document. If such person who knows the handwriting gives any opinion about such handwriting that yes it is that person's handwriting, or if he says that no that is not the handwriting of that person, so that will be a relevant fact because he knows how the handwriting of such person is and he is competent to tell the court as to whether such document was written or signed actually by that person or not. Explanation says a person is said to be acquainted with the handwriting of another person when he has seen that person write or when he has received documents purporting to be written by that person in answer to documents written by himself or under his authority and addressed to that person, or when in that ordinary course of business documents purporting to be written by that person have been habitually submitted to him. So when will we consider that a person is acquainted with the handwriting of that other person? The law says that whenever such person has seen that person how he writes, so he has actually seen that person to write something and he knows that yes this is how that person writes, so he knows that. Or if he has received documents prior to such giving of opinion, and such documents contain the handwriting of that person. So he knew by that, or he has habitually received documents that are written by that person in the ordinary course of any business. So if either of these happens, then that person will be thought to be acquainted with the handwriting of such another person. The section 47A talks about opinion as to electronic signature when relevant. So when the court has to form an opinion as to the electronic signature of any person, the opinion of the certifying authority which has issued the electronic signature certificate is a relevant fact. So whoever has issued the electronic signature certificate, who is called the certifying authority, that person, his opinion will be sought by the court, and the court will form its own opinion based upon the opinion of such certifying authority. Now, section 48 talks about opinion as to existence of right or custom when relevant. So when the court has to form an opinion as to the existence of any general custom or right, the opinions as to the existence of such custom or right of persons who would be likely to know of its existence if it existed are relevant. So whenever the court has to form an opinion that whether any particular right or custom existed or not, then who will the court ask? Who will be the competent person to form an opinion upon that subject matter? Any person who would likely to know of the existence of such right or custom will be the competent person, and his opinion will be relevant to that subject matter. The explanation says that general custom or right includes customs or rights common to any considerable class of persons. Section 49 talks about opinions as to usages, tenets, etc. when relevant. So when the court has to form an opinion as to the usages and tenets of any body of men or family, the constitution and government of any religious or charitable foundation, or the meaning of words or terms used in particular district or by particular classes of people, the opinion of persons having special means of knowledge thereon are relevant facts. So whether such court has to form any opinion regarding these matters, the opinions of any person who has special means of knowledge about those matters will be considered as relevant facts. Now, section 50 talks about opinions on relationship when relevant. So when the court has to form an opinion as to the existence of any relationship of one person to another, the opinion that is expressed by conduct as to the existence of such relationship of any person who as a member of the family or otherwise has special means of knowledge on the subject will be a relevant fact. So whoever has any special means of knowledge on the subject matter, being a family member or otherwise, will be a relevant fact if that person forms an opinion upon such existence or non-existence of that relationship, provided that such opinion shall not be sufficient to prove a marriage in proceedings under the Indian Divorce Act or in prosecutions under these sections of the Indian Penal Code. Section 51 talks about grounds of opinion when relevant. So whether the opinion of any living person is relevant, the grounds on which such opinion is based are also relevant. So whenever a living person is giving any opinion on a particular subject matter, then the grounds on which he is forming his opinion will also become relevant according to section 51. So that's all in this video. If you like my videos, then don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching this video.